Hello there, Morons. It's Victor, Give Me a Breakman, Give Me a Breakman with a laundry video. If you don't know what a laundry video is, it's a video where you don't actually, it's like a podcast. You don't actually have to watch it. Just listen as I ramble on and on about things that are on my mind. But if you are interested, I'm going to be just walking around the neighborhood a little bit. It's a rainy, beautiful rainy day. Every day is a beautiful day if your mind is there, if you're set right. And this is also kind of a video response to a video that has been deemed by some to be too emotional. And I thought it was an interesting idea that the video has. The video put a question in my mind that I thought would be interesting for you guys. And the video is by Kristina R. We had her on the 2.5 Oyajis show a couple months ago. She's a good friend of Strawberry Mochi and Amadofu. Strawberry Mochi and Amadofu, all good friends. I think they have a little private line chat or something going on. I don't know. I'm not in on that, but they're cool. They're all really, really nice people, and they're all very, very young. I think they're all in their 20s. Anyway, so first I would just like to address the video. The video is called like my worst experience in Japan, why I quit my job or something. I think why I quit my teaching job. The description, the link is in the description. Check it out. It's worth watching. And it's basically Kristina talking about something that happened a while ago. She quit her job. Where should I go? I'll go this way. Just walk you around the neighborhood a little bit. Hope it doesn't rain on me. Got an umbrella just in case. So she talks about this company where she worked at. She worked in a kind of low-level English school. It sounds like it was a kind of a bottom rung chain. Sounds like it was a chain, though I don't know any of that for sure. I have talked to Kristina before making this video, by the way, and I've assured her that although I will disagree with her regarding a few things in the video, this is in no way to be construed as an attack video. If you're not interested in listening to me, then go just watch her video and subscribe to her channel. She's definitely a up-and-coming Jvlogger, and if you're interested in Japan, you'll pick up some things from her video. So anyway, let's get back to it. She talks about this English school where she used to work at, and they treated her fairly poorly in her estimation. And I would, after listening to her story, I'd have to agree on the most part. Actually, yeah, pretty much. They gave her a shitty little apartment to live in, and in a poor part of town, right? Look at this, where am I? And I'm in front of someone's house, and they have fish tanks out in front. And they made her work even when she was sick. Beautiful stuff there. They're fished in the fish tanks. Medaka, little white minnows. Things like that. The typical stuff, or typical stuff like that. That stuff does happen. They want you to work even when you think you're sick, or when you say you're sick, and when you are sick. They expect you to come out and hand out flyers. Like I've never worked at one of those schools, but I've heard about them. And here's the thing about that. When you're hired as a teacher, you have this idea that you're going to be a teacher. And for some of us, it seems below us to do things like that. For example, clean up and hand out flyers and shit like that. Some of us feel like we shouldn't be doing that. Now, she didn't say that. She didn't say that was her deal. She didn't claim that was her complaint. Her complaint was basically that she was, she was simply sick. But if you do come to Japan, you should keep in mind that they might make you or ask you to do that. That might be part of your job. Whenever you take a job, be sure to ask what the duties are, like handing out shit and cleaning up stuff and writing reports and whatever it is. Just make sure you know what all the duties are. Have them write it down for you so there's no misunderstanding, if you can. Or talk to some of the other teachers before you sign on. But anyway, she was really sick. She lost a lot of weight. She got down to like, I don't know, 40. I think she's at 47 kilograms or something, which is about 95 pounds. I think she said in pounds. I don't remember. Maybe I fixed it in my head that it was kilograms. But long story short, she used up quite a few of her sick days. I guess they finally let her go home. And then her grandfather died, and this becomes the big point of contention, I guess, in the comment section of that video, which just gets pretty nasty. But her grandfather died, and she knew she wouldn't be able to get home. She knew they wouldn't let her go home for the funeral, etc. Now, I actually talked to Kristina on Facebook, and I said, did you actually ask? And she said no, but she knew. I believe that's what she said. I'm sorry if I'm making a mistake here, but I think that's the gist of our exchange. But here's something that I thought was interesting. Warmoth Strat Mully, he actually looked it up on Google, which is a great thing to do before you come to Japan and while you're in Japan, Google things. And he discovered that even if you lose a family member, if you want to go back for a funeral, you can't really get first day passage unless it's an immediate family member. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Keep in mind that if you are going to go, if you have a sick father, mother, brother, sister, son or daughter, and they suddenly die, you're not going to be able to get back. You will be able to get back to the funeral for them if you can book a first day ticket. But if it's a grandfather or grandmother, don't count on it. I guess that's the point. If you have an aunt, uncle, grandfather, grandmother, or cousin, or someone else that might die while you're abroad, then you're not going to be able to get back to that funeral probably. It'll take, you won't get that immediate passage. And apparently you have to you have to prove that the person died, which I've always thought was in poor taste. But I guess there are people who are not above lying about deaths. We all did it in grade school. My grandma died. That's why I didn't do my homework right. My grandma died for the 5th time. So things like that. I guess the airlines force you to prove that someone has actually died. So actually, in Kristina's case, even if they had given her the days off, she wouldn't have been able to go home. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, she was upset. And there's pretty much nothing you can say to diminish that emotion of being upset because someone that you love died. Now on camera, she says, this is the 4th time I've tried, and she still tears up, and she's actually crying on camera. I've cried on camera. A lot of people have cried on camera. There's nothing wrong with crying on camera. If anything, I think it's something to be commended. It's something kind of brave to put out there. Some people will accuse her of just waterworks or just trying to garner pity. But to be fair, anyone you're a fan of or you follow and you like, you're going to give them sympathy. And the comment section pretty much demonstrates that. All these people are like, oh, feel better, I'm sorry for your experience, which is completely fine and great. However, there are quite a few people who are like, toughen up, you're a wimp, and I don't know. They gave her a lot of shit for feeling. And I was thinking about this, and to be fair and to be honest, I personally probably wouldn't react like that. I don't have that depth of emotion anymore because I'm old and tired, and I've seen a lot in life, and I'm a little bit. I wouldn't say, I'm still very passionate about things, but I'm saying I wouldn't be that emotional, probably. And also, I wasn't that close to my grandparents. When my grandma died, I cried too, I guess. But I was sad when my grandfather died. He was a great man, respected him very much. But, he'd been old, he was dying for a long time. I mean, he'd been bedridden for a year, so it wasn't that unexpected. I was more upset by the way some of my aunts and uncles went. Actually, one cousin went crazy trying to get money out of going over to his house after he died and taking shit. I mean, that's more upsetting. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so here's the gist of the problem. Not a problem, but the situation, okay? Kristina is a very emotional person, a very sensitive person. Her grandfather died, and she was upset. Other problems that she had in her video that she complained about, and I'm going to say complain, but not whining, because some people seem to think that she was whining. I didn't take it as whining. I thought they were complaints, legitimate complaints. But I want to give you some perspective on what exactly that possibly could mean, because she was a bit vague on it. She said she lived in a kind of bad part of town, but in Japan, kind of bad part of town is a very vague, these are beautiful houses, are vague expressions. I mean, compared to what? I mean, it's not like she lived in the ghetto of a major American city. It's not like Detroit, where all the windows are knocked out, I mean, you could say that part of the town, part of the neighborhood I'm walking through is bad, but part of the neighborhood is also beautiful and really nice, a lot of big, fancy houses, etc. So, I mean, that when you say bad part of town, it's really hard to quantify that. Other things she said was like like there was a pachinko and there were bars there. Well, there's a pachinko and bars in my neighborhood too, but it's not a bad part of town. I'm like I'm a 15-minute walk from Nagoya Station, which is the center of Nagoya. You know, I don't think you can argue it's a bad part of town. But there is a pinch. They actually just tore down the pachinko. They're going to build a big pharmacy there. But those words are vague. And when you say she didn't say she had a shitty apartment. She said, I said that, but people said that in the comments. She said she didn't like her apartment. And that doesn't really tell you anything, I think. I think she said that. Anyway, either way, apartments when you sign on with a company and you get their apartment, you're kind of stuck with that, you know, and that's part of the deal. You can get out of that. It takes time. Sometimes you have to gather your own money and find another place and all that. But I mean, that's part of the parcel that getting a job in Japan sometimes entails. And the other thing to remember is that just because things are different doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, of course, she can completely not like them, you know. I remember visiting Korea and seeing the hot floors. The floors were hot; they're heated underneath. Like I didn't find those necessarily enjoyable. Or when I was in Guatemala and some of the rooms were just, it was so hot and sweaty, and they don't have air conditioning. They just have fans. I didn't like that, but you know, different strokes, different folks, different cultures. So she didn't like her apartment. And I will tell you that if you come to Japan, you should be prepared for having an apartment that possibly is super, super cold in the winter, where you get out of your futon, or you're in your futon still, and you take off the cover and you breathe and you can see your breath. I mean, that's how cold it is sometimes. And in the summer, it's just so freaking hot and you're sweating so bad. My second house that I rented out in Japan was full of these huge cockroaches. But it was a beautiful building, just a gorgeous wooden building, but it was so cold in the winter. It had a bathtub that had no shower. It had one of these handles you had to turn. You had to get the heater going. You had to like crank it, like to get the flame, to light the gas, to heat the bathtub, to get the hot water to come into the bath. You know, it was just they didn't have a shower. I mean, that's just the way it was. Is it bad? Well, it's old-fashioned. I mean. I wasn't crazy about it, but at the same time, it was kind of quaint and kind of interesting as part of a new experience. So she makes those complaints, and they're fine. I mean, that's the way she felt. She didn't like it. That's fine. She didn't like her neighborhood. But there were a couple things that she said that I thought I wouldn't say was a little bit disconcerting, I suppose. And I don't have these problems. And one of them was she hated being stared at to the point that she didn't want to leave her apartment. And she thought all these old creepy men were looking at her all the time. Well, yeah, that's also part of Japan, you know. If you're going to come over here, that might be the situation, depending on where you live. Now, to be fair, things are changing, and it's taking time. When I came over 25 years ago, or 24 years ago, I was one of the few foreigners around. Or there weren't many of us now. So people would stare at me all the time. I'd sit on the subway, and people were like, oh my God, you know. Now people don't want to sit next to me because there's so many of them. But it's different, you know. In the old days, we were more of a novelty, and now, you know, for the most part, it's better. Like people don't stare at you so much, but you still get stares. And she's a very pretty woman, Kristina. I hope you don't mind me saying that. Don't worry, someone put a finger on it. Don't take any. Don't misunderstand my intentions. Of course you won't. But probably older than your father. Anyway, she's a very pretty woman, and she's black. I hate even saying that because I feel like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, in Japan, there are very few black women, and if you're a woman, I mean, if you're black, people are going to stare at you anyway. And if you're a woman and you're pretty, I mean, there's more reason to stare at you, right? I mean, I'd probably stare at you in whatever country you were in. Not stare, but you know, like, oh, yeah, you know. So in Japan, you're going to get more looks. So that's part of it. But the fact that what she said was a little disconcerting. She said she didn't want to go outside because she was getting so much looks, and that's not good. I mean, you shouldn't be scared to leave your house because all the looks you're getting. And if that was the case, then I'm sorry to hear that. And if you are that kind of person, then you should think twice about coming to Japan. If that's the kind of person you are. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that's going to happen here. But at the same time, you're also helping the next generation by coming here and getting stared at, because you're reducing the amount of stairs for future generations, because that's the way it happens, right? Imagine if you were the first foreigner to come to Japan now. I mean, you'd be treated really strangely, good and bad. But someone's got to come out there, and someone's going to come here, and someone's going to show the. And I don't say this as an insult, but Japanese are fairly ignorant when it comes to foreigners still. So what we're doing, simply by existing in Japan, we are educating them by giving them the experiences. Not all of them. A lot of Japanese are completely fine with foreigners, and they know how to treat us like normal human beings, but a lot of them don't. And you get a lot of ridiculous stares and questions, and et cetera, et cetera. Now the reason this video is labeled this way is because the biggest problem Kristina had was living away from her, from what I can see in the video. And she knows this, so this is not a lecture, but this is more of something that for you to consider, is that she chose to come to Japan knowing that, I mean, I'm sure she knew her grandfather could die because he's old, right? And he did, and that's part of it, you know? So if you are the kind of person who really can't be away from their family, because as some people point out in the comment section, you know, it is a luxury to be able to travel and go home. And even she points it out in the video that she doesn't have that luxury of being able to hop on a plane, or when you have a bad day, or just going home and getting that support from your family. So if you're the kind of person who needs, I won't say coddling, but if you need to be close to your family, however way you want to interpret that, then maybe Japan is not, or any country that is, or any place that is far away from wherever you live, is not a good place to move to. So you have to consider that before coming to Japan. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be close to your family. You shouldn't take it as a sign of shame, but it's going to limit your travel possibilities, right? Or, you know, living abroad may not be a good idea. That's all I want to say about that. Let's see, what else was her video complaining about? Oh, here's something that's a friend of mine doubted, and I believe it, but I want to verify that it's true. She said that at her company, they would talk about the foreigners who were in the room, and that's really impolite, but they'll do it. And you know what? I'm sure Americans, I mean, that will happen in any country. The fact that they're Japanese, that's not the reason. It's just, they're just rude people, and they're rude people everywhere in the world. So I'm sure I've seen that happen in Peru too. I was in Peru, in Argentina once, and it happened to me. Someone assumed I didn't speak English. These two British women were talking about me. And I'm like, you know, I understand English. How gozaimasu? Oh, my guy's wearing a lot of cologne. That's a shocker. I never would have imagined that. It's a lot of cologne. Oh my God. Yeah, I was in Argentina, and these two old women. I had just finished a horribly long trek from Brazil, like literally walking, because I was, it's a long story, but I had no money. I left my wallet. I lost my money. I lost my wallet, and I had to go back to. I mean, I had money in a hotel, but I was hundreds of miles away from the money, so and they wouldn't take the credit card, so I hiked for days from Brazil to Argentina. When I finally got there, I was in some building, and I think it was the same building that the British consulate was in for some reason. And these two British women were talking about this youngster. He should be taking the stairs. Why is he waiting for the elevator? You know, if I were that young, I'd just think. And I was 20 years old or so. And I'm like, I'm really tired. I had a long trip. And they're like, well, they didn't even. The funny thing is, they didn't bat an eye. They're like, well, you should just take the stairs. You know, why are you complaining? Anyway, it happens every country. Is my point. Now it does happen in Japan as well. So what can you do? Learn effing Japanese. You know, you shouldn't have a problem then. The other thing that was really rude that did happen to her was they would talk about the foreigners and refer to them as gaikokujin. They wouldn't even use their names. And again, it's up for you to stand up for yourself and say, hi, my name is. But the other thing that I learned by living in Japan and being on YouTube is not to let other people's the way other people treat you defines you. That doesn't define you. Just because other people treat you disrespectfully doesn't mean that you do not deserve respect. So know that, you know. I am confident of who I am as a person and what I'm capable of and what kind of teacher I am. So when I'm in the office, and there have been a couple rare cases where I've given an opinion in a situation where it wasn't my school. And I've been kind of laughed at, like, oh, really, that's what you think? The foreigner thinks that. And you know, I know that they're being disrespectful, but that doesn't say anything about me. That says a lot about them. Now, what Kristina could have done in that situation would say, my name is Kristina. When anytime they refer to her as Gaikokujin, which means foreigner, like they wouldn't refer to her by name. She should have said, or maybe she did say, my name is Kristina. Or when she referred to another person, she could have said, oh, his name is Thomas, or whatever, Susan, whatever. So that's also on you, if that bothers you to the point, if that bothers you and you want to, you know, do something about it, then do something about it. Or you can be quiet, you know. But either way, don't let it get to you. That's what I'm saying. I didn't, and I don't. And on the internet, when people say retarded things about me, and, you know, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I've done. So I don't care, as long as they're not rude to the guests. Yes. So be confident in yourself. That's important when moving to another country, or in life. Hell, it doesn't matter where you are. It's just important to know who you are and being confident in yourself. Yes, self-esteem. But not saying that she lacks that. I'm just saying that if you're the kind of person who can't deal with that, you know, there's a lot of people in this world, I've noticed, that they're like, they need a safe face. Like I saw some video on Live Leak the other day. Some guy, I think he was Asian actually, might have been Chinese or something, going head forward into a Starbucks. And the guy who's in the line going the right way, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, you stupid, you dumbass. And the guy's like, what did you call me? Call me dumbass? And he punches him. Like, there's no reason to get violent because someone else calls you a name. It's just silly. That means you think it really matters. Like people want to fight over name calling and shit. And that's just silly. If you are confident in yourself, it shouldn't matter what other people say about you. So I don't understand fighting because someone fucking insulted you. That's just dumb. But anywho, they did do that. In her office also, they showed everyone, they showed everyone another teacher's health results. That should be illegal. That was really bad. That's a horrible, horrible human being, but, you know, or just a really stupid thing to do. I guess you can't really judge him as a human being, but from one incident, but that's just stupid. And that person, you know, there's a lot of ignorant people in the world, and that's just impolite. What can you do about that? What else did she say that was I wanted to make? I think that was the major part of it. She did eventually quit that school, which is good. I think she said 9 months, and now she's got another school, and she seems to be doing much better, so good for her. But yeah, when you come to Japan, you got to think about what kind of person you are. Think about well, you know what kind of person you are, and think about how you're going to be able to maintain that kind of maintain yourself in this country. Are you too emotional? Are you going to get really angry if people disrespect you? Are you going to be able to adapt to different apartments or stairs or getting treated disrespectfully? Or, most importantly, being away from your family. If you need to be around, if you want to be around when there are weddings and births and deaths, then maybe Japan is not the country for you. Now, she is a great vlogger. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting about this whole thing, and I questioned myself, is I tend to think that the younger generation are kind of pussies, to be honest. The Kristina generation is kind of full of pussies. And what I mean by that, now, before you get all hot-headed here, let me explain. There's a meme that was going around, something like, in 1944, 17-year-olds were storming the beaches of Normandy, facing certain death. In 2016, 17-year-olds need a safe place to protect them from getting their feelings hurt. And I kind of feel that way, but at the same time, there's not much you can do by just saying that. The truth of the matter is that people who are watching YouTube, if you identify with Kristina and you are an emotional person, then her video is completely valid for you. And regardless, even if you're not, even if like I personally wouldn't say I'm that as emotional as Kristina, but I mean that doesn't make her feelings less valid. They still exist. They're still there. That's the way she feels. So for someone to rebuke her for feeling is just ridiculous. And ironically, I think the majority of people that are watching her or on YouTube watching these Jvloggers are probably closer to Kristina's age. So they probably relate to her more than they relate to other people who don't have that emotional the strong emotional aspect that she does, right? I'm not saying her emotions are bad. They are real. They are hers. She's fine to have them. And if you have them too, then she's a great vlogger for you. You should just check out her channel. And I'm not saying all her videos are full of emotional, they're not emotional, tear-jerking stories. No, they're not. Some of them are just, they're all well shot. They're all very well shot, well edited. She's a solid vlogger. But she's a little bit more emotional sometimes than some of the other vloggers, but that doesn't make her less, right? Nobody's story is false. Someone asked me the other day, I had a Skype conversation with a guy the other day who was telling me he liked Ryan Boundless and Tikio Sam, as well as my videos, right? And I have to say that although our perceptions of Japan are different, they are not any less valid. I will disagree with almost every vlogger on Japan regarding what Japan is and how, and my interpretation of Japan is going to be different than everyone else's, but that doesn't make it less valid. Same thing goes for Kristina. I was really befuddled by a lot of the comments on her video, giving her a lot of shit for caring about what happened and saying maybe she shouldn't live in Japan. But I think those comments were kind of unnecessary. I think she knows. I even talked to her. She did research quite a bit before coming over here. She did Google quite a bit. She knows. She knew what she was getting into. But despite that, she decided to come, and despite that, she decided to have feelings. So, oh my God, that's horrible, right? So if you don't like her videos, just don't watch them. No big deal. I watched her video and yeah, I thought, okay, she's crying. I wouldn't cry here, but I didn't think, oh, how stupid. She's silly. I didn't think that at all. I accepted her as what she is. She's just a girl with emotions and experiencing Japan in her way. I have no right to judge. I don't think anyone else does either. If you don't like her videos, don't watch them. If you like them, great. That's really all I got to say. I had to get that off my chest. Thanks for the long video. I got another one coming out soon. What time is it? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, this is going to be an unedited video going into Give Me a Flick Man. There's edited stuff on the Give Me a Break Man channel. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.